not standing up because they are defying you. That's number one. We are standing up in pursuit of the rules which provide for a modus operandi on how a decision or a ruling of the Speaker can be challenged. So it is not indiscipline for members to stand.
The members that will have the second reading tomorrow, first thing in the morning.
Actually, that's not the biggest, that's not the issue, right, Honorable Speaker.
Olanya, present your report. Olanya, present your report. Honorable Mr. Kema.
Item 4 on the order paper. Motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Local Government, on the report of the Auditor General for the financial year 2022-2023 on 37 district local governments, 3 cities, 6 divisions, and 10 municipal councils.
Honorable,
I have a procedural issue. I mean, no longer I've been standing.
You sit back and you bring your procedural issue there. Honorable Lanya, you go back and you bring it from there.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
And one thing I want to remind you, whether you go to heaven in the morning tomorrow, 10, coffee will be here.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the minutes of the committee. I beg to lay.
Please lay.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Committee of Park Local Government. I beg to lay.
Please lay.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I am going to read the executive summary. The report is quite big. Because of time, I will deal majorly with the executive summary. This is the report of the Committee on Public Accounts, on audited reports, on 17 district local government, 3 cities, 6 divisions, and 10 municipal council for the financial year ended June 2023. Right Honourable Speaker, in accordance with Article 163, Clause 5A of the Constitution and Rule 182, Clause 5 of our Rules of Procedure, the Committee on Public Accounts, Local Government, considered the report of Auditor General for the financial year 2022-2023 and wishes to report its finding to this House. Right Honourable Speaker, the report covers the key issues in the report, which will be categorized into 2 sections, namely key issues in local government and key audit matters, both general and cross-cutting queries in the local government. This report, which covers 56 local government under Kampala, Gulu, Arua, has been compiled based on the findings of the Auditor General and observations of the committee, mainly to show the state of the local government and to aid policymakers in improving performance of the local government, as highlighted below. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are looking at the key audit issues in local government. Report of 56 local government for the financial year 2022-2023 that were appropriated public funds, and this includes 30 cities, 37 district local government, 10 municipal councils, and 6 city divisions. Right, Honorable Speaker, total appropriated budget to local government for the financial year 2022-2023. Parliament appropriated a sum of 5,220 billion to all local government in the country, out of which 4,750.2 billion, equivalent to 99% of the approved budget, was warranted to the local government for service delivery. The shortfalls in revenue was 469.8 billion. During the year, based on warrants, for the 56 entities, Right Honorable Speaker, that forms Kampala, Gulu, Arua audit regions, had an approved budget allocation of 2,131.453 billion, equivalent to 41% of the budget allocated to all local governments during the fiscal years under review. During the financial year, a sum of 1,940.37 billion was released to the 56 entities for the implementation of various government programs of the approved 2,131.45 billion. Thus, the entity had a revenue receipt shortfalls of 191 billion, which is equivalent to 9% unrealized funds. Right Honorable Speaker, further of the availed resources amounting to 1,940 billion, only 1,493 billion was utilized, leading to a balance of 446.8 billion, thus translating into absorption of 77% of the availed resources. Right Honorable Speaker, we are looking at a local government absorption capacity. The 56 local government reports considered were warranted or released a sum of 1,940.37 billion, equivalent to 41% of the total warrants to all the local government budgeted during the financial year 2022-2023. Out of the resources warranted to the 56 local government, 1,493 billion was expended, representing 77%.
Can you people listen to the chair?
Thank you. Representing 77% of the budget released. To that effect, 446 billion remain unutilized, hence returned to the consolidated fund as a result of failure to absorb the resources. Right Honorable Speaker, the absorption of funds by the local government was affected by a number of factors, including late release of funds, delays in procurement, delayed accessing of civil servants onto the payroll, change in design of construction works, among the cases cited. Right Honorable Speaker, notably, the local government with the least absorptive capacities, all those that return huge sum of funds, were Kitgum Municipal Council at 43%, returning 15 billion Uganda shillings. Oyam District Local Government performed at 57%, thus returning 25 billion. Pakwach performing at 58%, returning 14.5 billion. Agago District Local Government observed 60% of the funds, returning 17.6 billion. Lira District Local Government observed Lira District Local Government observed 54% of the funds released to it, returning 17.6 billion. And Arua City observed 74% of the funds released to it, returning 17.6 billion. Right, our Speaker, on the other hand, the local government that observed to nearly target were Gulu District Local Government, posting 100% utilization of all funds released to it. Arua District Local Government, 94%. Mityana District Local Government observed 96% of the funds released to it. And was Mityana Municipal Council also performed at 89%. Moyo District Local Government at 87%. Yumbe District Local Government posted 87%. Those are among the best performing local governments. Right, Honorable Speaker, as I stated earlier, we picked the samples. The main reports are in this book. The members will pick interest and look at their district one by one, how they performed in the financial year 2022-2023. Right, Honorable Speaker, committee observation. The committee observed that, 1, local government were unable to carry out the planned activities because they did not get all the funds from the approved budget. 2, the unspent balance was attributed to a number of factors, including failure to recruit, delayed deployment of teachers by Ministry of Education, failure to procure contractors under use mist, delayed completion of projects under U-Gift, among others. 3, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in some instances, released funds to the entities over and above what was requested for by the entities. Some entities did not have information about such releases by Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, which found them ill-prepared for the money, and some being swept back to the consolidated fund. And 4, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in some cases, released funds late to entities. Several entities informed the committee that funds were received at the end of the last quarter of the financial year, which made absorption of the same almost impossible. Committee recommendation. Right, Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that, 1, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should explain why funds were not released to the local government as budgeted and in a timely manner, as well as those released over and above requests made by the entities. 2, accounting officers under those supervisions, local governments failed to utilize funds released to them without justifiable reasons should be held personally reliable. 3, relevant entities should streamline their budget performance and ensure timely recruitment and placement, procurement timelines, and follow up on timely releases in order to improve funds absorption. 4, accounting officers should follow up with the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development on the budget shortfalls affecting service delivery. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are looking at the local revenue performance. The 56 local government entities had an approved local revenue budget of 121.39 billion, out of which 86.4 billion was allocated and released back to the local government, hence a revenue collection of 71% of the approved budget. A sum of 34.98 billion remain uncollected at the end of the financial year. The warrant releases are based on what the local government collects and is deposited with the consolidated fund as per the requirement of Section 29, Clause 2 of the PFMA 2015. The under-collection undermines service delivery as councils greatly relies on local revenue for support, supervision, and facilitation of the council sittings. Thus, improvement in its administration is required to improve service delivery. A number of local government under review posted good performance, led by Butambala District Local Government at 278%, Koboko Municipal Council at 232%, Yumbe District Local Government at 131%, Koboko District Local Government at 128%, while least performance was registered by Lera District Local Government that realized only 11% of its approved local revenue budget, Apache Municipal Council at only 23%, Ajumani District Local Government at 35%, and Pakwach District Local Government at 48%, as per the budget performance Annex 1. The accounting officers with a good revenue performance informed the committee that they had been enrolled on IRAS, which has enhanced revenue collection. Right, Honourable Speaker, additionally, accounting officers informed the committee that they had developed revenue enhancement plans and they were optimistic that this would improve their revenue collection. For example, districts such as Wakiso District Local Government and Pakwach District Local Government reported and submitted to the committee their revenue enhancement plan. Committee observation. The committee observed that 1, under collection undermines service delivery as councils greatly rely on local revenue for support, supervision, and council sittings. 2, under collection of local revenue deny the entities resources for implementation of the planned activities. 3, some entities do not have robust revenue collection mechanisms, which explain the low local revenue collections. 4, the entities that perform well set revenue targets that were below their revenue potentials, and this explains the overperformance. The committee recommendations. The committee recommends that 1, the accounting officers should strengthen local revenue collection efforts to ensure availability of adequate funds for service delivery, for instance, by conducting inland benchmarks with the best performing local governments. 2, the accounting officers should conduct revenue enumerations and assessment exercises to inform revenue planning and enforcement. 3, the accounting officers should put in place revenue enhancement plans to increase local revenue to match the entity's revenue potentials. 4, owing to the positive feedback regarding IRAS, government should consider rolling out the system to all entities that have not started using the system. 5, accounting officers should strengthen capacity building for parish chiefs and town clerks charged with the duty of revenue collections. Right, Honourable Speaker, we are looking at the performance of government warrants. The Auditor General noted that most entities received less than what they budgeted for, thereby affecting service delivery. For instance, Lera City budgeted to receive 600 billion 46 million 36,451, out of which 47 billion 554 468.848 was warranted, resulting in a shortfall of 20 billion 491 840,032, representing 70% performance. Navy District Local Government budgeted to receive 46.692 billion 271,928, out of which 41 billion 427 million 847,639 was warranted, resulting in a shortfall of 5.264 billion, representing 89% performance. Boikwe District Local Government budgeted to receive 53.915 billion, out of which 35.836 billion was warranted, resulting in a shortfall of 18 billion 793 million, representing 66% performance. The auditor, however, noted that realization of budget funds to finance work plans is always impacted by the limited resource envelopes resulting from the persistent budget cuts. The accounting officers explained that they had no control over warrants and cash limits, but continuously engaged the Ministry of Finance to provide funds for the affected activities. Additionally, Right Honourable Speaker, accounting officers from some entities informed the committee that they received funds over and above what they had requested for, which they could not observe. For instance, the accounting officer of Butambala District Local Government informed the committee that whereas the entity requested for 1 billion 122 million 22,625 for wage, 5 billion 560 million 783 170 was released to the district, as per the auditor's analysis, hence resulting into some funds not observed. Similarly, Kitgum District Local Government received a supplementary funding of 2 billion 855 million 427 080, which was not requested for by the accounting officer, and out of it 1 billion 914 million 99,546 was not utilized by the entity. Committee observation. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee observed that 1. Local government were unable to carry out the planned activities because they did not get all the funds from the approved budget. 2. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in some instances, released funds to entities over and above what was requested for by the entities. 3. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in some cases, released funds late to entities. Several entities informed the committee that funds were received at the end of the last quarter of the financial year, which made absorption of the same impossible. Committee recommendation. The committee recommended, Right Honourable Speaker, 1. An investigation should be carried out on why Ministry of Finance releases funds over and above what has been requested by the entities. 2. Accounting officers should follow up with the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development on the shortfalls affecting service delivery. Right on, Speaker, we look at unutilization of warrants. The Auditor General noted that there was underutilization of warrants which affected performance as planned activities were either partially implemented or not implemented at all. The accounting officers explained that much of the unabsorbed funds were meant for planned recruitments, which did not materialize due to a ban on recruitment that was issued by government, while others did not have functional district service commissions. For instance, Mukono District Local Government. They also explained that there was also delayed procurement process due to the hybrid procurement process, which the entities had no control over, as it was handled by the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, MAIF. MAIF delayed to provide the pre-qualified list of service providers. The accounting officers also attributed the underutilization of funds to delayed release of funds by Ministry of Finance, as most funds were released in the last month of the financial year. Accounting officers from some entities informed the committee that they received funds over and above what they had requested for, which they could not observe. For instance, the accounting officer of Butambala District Local Government, as I read earlier, and all those. Committee observations. Right, Honourable Speaker, the committee observed that, 1, whereas Ministry of Finance did not release all the funds budgeted for, most entities did not utilize the warrants, which greatly affected the implementation of planned activities. 2, the unspent balances were attributed to a number of factors, including failure to recruit due to the ban on recruitment, delayed deployment of secondary school teachers by Ministry of Education, failure to procure contractor under USMIST, delayed completions of project under UGIFT, among others. 3, the hybrid methods of procurement in management of projects in the local government has caused a lot of implementation challenges, which include delayed procurement process, difficulty in supervision, poor quality of work, and conflict of interest, both at the central and local government. 4, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in some instances, released funds to entities over and above what was requested for by the entities. 5, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in some cases, released funds late to entities. Several entities informed the committee that funds were received at the end of the last quarter of the financial year, which made absorption of the same impossible. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends that, 1, the Ministry of Finance should ensure timely release of funds to all service delivery. Ministry of Finance should release funds as requested for by entities to avoid over and above releases. MAIF should stop the hybrid methods of contracting to allow local government to procure contractors in the micro-scale irrigation program. Accounting officers should ensure that contractors adhere to the contractual timelines. Accounting officers should not relent in engaging the permanent secretary or secretary to the Treasury to ensure that funds are reverted so as to implement the affected activities. We are looking at lack of appropriate performance indicators and targets in the work plan. Right on, Speaker, the Auditor General noted that most of the entities lack appropriate performance indicators and target in work plans, which was contrary to Regulation 11, Clause 2B of the Public Finance Management Regulations 2016, which provides that the work plan of a vote shall indicate the key performance indicators to be used to gauge the output. The accounting officers attributed this to challenges in the program budgeting system, whereby drop-downs provided to select performance indicators in the system are limited and do not relate to local government. And the system also does not allow adjustment in the codes to suit those applications to entities. Committee observation. The committee observed that without clear performance indicators and targets, it is hard to ascertain the level of achievement of output stock activities, and this is likely to result in inaccurate performance information from the entities. 2, the program implementation action plans in the National Development Plan are not synchronized with the program-based system, as certain programs within the system lack corresponding performance indicators. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends that the National Planning Authority should fast-track the review of the program to come up with appropriate performance indicators that are aligned to local governments. The Program Implementation Action Plan in the National Development Plan should be synchronized with the program-based system, as certain programs within the system lack corresponding performance indicators. 3, capacity building for the users of PBS should be planned for and fast-tracked by NPA. Madam Speaker, we also look at the implementation of outputs. The Auditor General noted that number of outputs and activities were either partially implemented or not implemented at all. The accounting officers explained that some were due to budget cuts, while others were due to delays in the procurement process. Committee observation. Committee observed that partial or non-implementation of planned activities implies that the expected services to the beneficiaries' communities were not attained. 2, there was inadequate monitoring and supervision during the implementation of activities. Recommendations. Committee recommends that 1, ensure continuous monitoring and supervision of contractors to realize full implementation of activities. 2, engage with the relevant authorities to always adequately plan and fast-track procurement to ensure that activities are implemented in a timely manner. Honorable Speaker, we also look at the management of the government salary payroll. During the year under review, the Auditor General carried out a special audit of all salary payrolls across all local government entities to establish the root causes of identified challenges in the management of government salary payroll and propose remedial measures accordingly. The audit covered the last 4 financial years, 2019, 2020 to 2020, 2023, and made the following findings. Utilization of wage budget. The total wage bill appropriated for all local government amounting to 2,855 billion during the fiscal year under review. The wage bill approved for the 57 entities under review amounting to 1,083 billion, of which 1,001 billion was utilized, representing a performance of 92%. This has an overall impact on service delivery, as it demonstrates the lack of personnel or failure to attract and retain manpower to support service delivery. The Auditor General noted that most of the entities did not utilize their wage budget, and this affected service delivery. Accounting officers explained to the committee that unobserved funds were mainly meant for payment of staff salaries, but due to ban on recruitment of staff, they could not pay salary as no recruitment was done. Some accounting officers blame non-recruitment on lack of functioning district service commissions and delayed access of staff to the payroll. Committee observation. 1. The ban on recruitment of staff greatly affects service delivery since the entities did not recruit the required staff. 2. The delayed access of staff on the payroll greatly demotivates staff because of delayed remuneration. Committee recommendation. Committee recommends that accounting officers should ensure that they have functioning district service commission in place so as to streamline the recruitment of staff to vacant positions. 2. Accounting officers should improve on the accuracy of entities' budgets by ensuring that all budget estimates are based on actual numbers. 3. The accounting officers should in future adhere to Section B to A, Clause 11 of Uganda Public Service Standing Order, which requires accounting officers to ensure that public officers access the payroll within 4 weeks from the date of assumption of duty. Right on, Speaker, we also look at the validation of employees on the entity's payroll. The audit report on validation of staff on government payroll for audit regions covered revealed that 35,408 personnel or staff were verified out of 43,427 who were on the payroll, and the difference of 7,992 staff were not present. The exercise identified 777 ghost staff on the payroll of 56 entities reviewed. The Auditor General noted that whereas most of the staff in the entities were verified, some were verified, some were not verified due to A, lack of minute extracts from other service commissions to support their first appointment. B, staff on study leave abroad.
Procedure.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I thank the Chair for the report. Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, the report is well captured pages. And Madam Speaker, wouldn't it be procedure right for the record to capture this very good report? We go and get time and read it. Also aware that tomorrow we are here at 10 and we started today again early. So my procedural point is, would it be procedure right for the record to capture? Then we are given enough time to go and digest the report.
The report was captured, I think, 2 weeks back. It has been on the order paper every day. It has been on the order paper. And he's only reading an executive summary.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, as I stated earlier, our report is quite big, but we are reading the executive summary. Maybe I will, Right Honourable Speaker, I will concentrate on the observation and the recommendations. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. On the validation of employee on the entity's payroll, the committee observed that staff who did not turn up for verification and those who were not accounted for by the accounting officers had been getting salary for unknown periods of time, which caused a financial loss to government. 2, There was negligence by human resource officers to carry out review of the payroll before payments were effected. 3. A total of 4,497,807,340 was paid to 777 staff who were unaccounted for on the payroll, thus causing financial loss to government. Committee recommendation. 1. There should be regular review of the entity's payrolls so as to promptly remove employees who are not verified to avoid continuous financial loss to government. 2. The responsible accounting officers who made payments to ghost workers should be held liable to recover the funds lost by the government. 3. Entities should always liaise with the relevant stakeholders to ensure prompt updates of the payroll going forward so as new staff can access the payroll. Right on, Speaker, we also look at inconsistencies in the employees' detail. Under that, the committee observed that 1. Inconsistent information undermines the integrity of the entity's records and may complicate the employee's service history and retirement procurement. 2. Where the errors in dates of birth increase the length of service, it may lead to the irregular extensions of employees' service. 3. The request for change of dates of birth are always submitted when employees are approaching the time of attainment of the mandatory retirement age, which creates doubt of intent of the officers. Committee recommendation. Committee recommends that accounting officers should ensure that employees' records are duly updated and brought to the attention of the Ministry of Public Service. 2. Accounting officers should continue to sensitize the employees on Section L to B, Clause 7 of the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders 2020, Public Service Standing Orders 2021, which states that payments of salary to public officers be stopped immediately they cease rendering services to government under whatever circumstances, including death. Recommendation. Going forward, the accounting officers should ensure the management of accurate staff salary payroll in line with Section B, Clause 12 of the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders 2021. 2. The accounting officers should recover the said money from the beneficiaries within 6 months from the time of adoption of this report. Right on, Speaker, we also look at the review of the staff establishments. On this, the committee observed that most entities did not have approved and costed staff establishments for primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, while the staff structures for health facilities issued by Ministry of Health was not incorporated into the district approved structure. Most entities still have staffing gaps, which has affected service delivery. Recommendation. The committee recommends that the accounting officers should engage the relevant ministries about the ban on recruitment to address the vacant positions. 2. Accounting officers should engage the relevant stakeholders and authorities to develop and implement costed staff structures for the entities. We also look at the implementation of key government grants, program. The focus areas. Right on, Speaker, the committee observed that the entities failed to adhere to the stipulated guidelines while allocating the funds. 2, failure to maintain an up-to-date asset register of education facilities and their conditions led to inconsistencies in selection of schools to benefit from the infrastructural development work affected by quality of education of pupils in schools that were not selected but are disadvantaged. 2, failure to screen projects for the likely environmental and social impact may result into environment deterioration in case mitigation measures are not identified and implemented. Committee recommendation. Committee recommends that accounting officers should adhere to Section 6.231 of the Planning, Budgeting and Implementation Guidelines for Local Government for the Education and Sports Sector 2021, while planning for projects under the Education Development Grant. Accounting officers should ensure that an up-to-date asset register of education facilities and their condition is maintained and used in selection of schools to benefit from the grant. Right now, Speaker, we also look at funding and absorption of education development grant. Under this, the committee observed that delayed release of funds by in the entities. The committee recommends that Ministry of Finance should ensure timely release of funds, and the accounting officers should roll over the unimplemented activities to the financial year 2023-2024 and follow up with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that the funds are reverted. 2, retention should be paid when contractors have rectified all defects if identified. We also look at inspection for service delivery and education development. Under this, the committee observed that there was laxity by accounting officers in monitoring and supervision of contractors to ensure effective implementation and completion of projects. 2, delayed release of funds by Ministry of Finance greatly affected the absorption of the funds by entities. Committee recommendation. Committee recommends that Ministry of Finance should ensure timely release of funds. 2, the accounting officers should ensure that the defects are rectified before retention payments are made. 3, accounting officers should carry out frequent monitoring and supervision of projects to ensure effective implementation and completion of projects as planned and their effective utilization. 4, the accounting officers should liaise with the relevant stakeholders and ensure timely commissioning of projects to deliver services. We also look at the micro-scale irrigation. Right on, Speaker, the committee look at the micro-scale irrigation, whereby out of the 135 participating districts, the audit sampled 100 districts, which is 74%, which received 79.81 billion, or 97%, out of 81.830 billion budgeted to support 2,750 farmers to purchase irrigation equipment and set up 194 irrigation demonstration sites for roll-out phase. Although the project had areas where management had commendable performance, such as full utilization of micro-scale irrigation funds on eligible activities in 100 sample districts, and installed demonstration irrigations equipment in 55 districts, there were areas for improvement, and these included plan and budget performance. Under plan and budget performance, the committee observed that under absorptions of released funds led to partial or non-implementation of planned activities. 2, the project is a costly project that only benefits farmers that can afford co-funding, as it is not all-inclusive. Recommendation: the Ministry of Agriculture, or MRAI, should reduce co-funding at least to 5%, because most farmers cannot afford the current charges, and thus leading to low absorption of funds. 2, the committee recommends that this program should be tailored towards promoting inclusivity with the aim of enhancing the capacity of farmers. Right on, Speaker, we also look at the implementation of micro-scale program may result into failure to support smallholders farmers to transition from subsistence to commercial agriculture. Recommendation: the committee recommends that accounting officers should initiate measures to ensure timely procurement and engage MRAI to expand the list of pre-qualified suppliers from potential suppliers to increase the number of eligible suppliers to improve on efficiency. MRAI should stop the hybrid method of contracting to allow local government to procure contractors in the micro-scale irrigation program. We also look at the utilization of discretionary development equalization grant, that is DDGE, and use-missed grant. We look at funding absorption. Under funding absorption, right, Honourable Speaker, the committee observed that the accounting officers made a regular budget allocation which affected the effective utilization of the grant funds. Recommendation: the committee recommends that Minister of Planning, Minister of Finance should ensure timely release of all budgeted funds to municipal council to facilitate implementation of planned activities. Accounting officers should ensure that funds are remitted in accordance with the guidelines. Ministry of Land and Urban Development should ensure that in future procurement is done and contractual designs are planned early to avoid delays. Finally, the accounting officers should ensure timely and effective implementation of the project. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at the development response to displacement impact project. And also we look at funding and absorptions under this program, where the committee observed that there were delays in the disbursements of funds, and this affected the implementation timelines of the project. 2, a number of entities experienced budget cuts, hence the failure to effectively implement the projects as planned. 3, the targeted local government did not achieve the intended results due to delayed release of funds, thus the failure to implement the project. Recommendation: the committee recommends that the OPM should ensure that approved sub-projects are funded timely. 2, the accounting officers and OPM should follow up on all projects balances on commercial banks and ensure that the funds are not misused. 3, the accounting officers should engage OPM regarding the utilization of sub-project savings and interest earned. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at implementation of project activities. Under this, the committee observed that the targeted local government did not achieve the intended results due to delayed release of funds, thus the failure to implement the project. 2. Implementation of project by IPS was delayed by investigations by IGG, whereby IPS were suspended. 3. Lack of environment and social management plans by respective entities hinders the implementation of corrective action against negative environmental and social effects of sub-project. Committee recommends that accounting officers should ensure that monitoring and supervision of projects is strengthened to realize the intended results. 2. Prioritize the implementation of all partially implemented and ongoing sub-projects in the infrastructure, environment, and livelihood sub-components. Ensure that the DRDIP district coordinator monitors and guarantees that physical progress and financial reports are prepared by CPMC and accountabilities are uploaded into the DRDIP MIS. 4. Ensure that sub-project focal persons are trained on the use of the DRDIP MIS, engage OPM regarding future funding of ongoing sub-project. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at inspection of service delivery project implemented in the financial year 2022-2023. Under this, the committee observed that the districts affected by this project had not obtained value for money, given that the projects had defects ranging from cracks on walls and uncleared water channels under bridges. 2. The environmental and social management plans was yet to be implemented, and these had negatively impacted the completion of the project. Recommendation: the committee recommends that accounting officers should ensure that all defects on ESMP work are corrected, completed prior to the commissioning of all the projects. 2. Projects that are behind schedule should be expedited. Right, Honourable Speaker, the committee also look at transitional road rehabilitation grant. Under this, we look at fundings and absorption under roads, where committee observed that delayed release of budgeted for funds leads to funds being swept, and this affects the timely execution of services to the detriment of the intended beneficiaries in the concerned project areas. Recommendation: committee recommends that Ministry of Finance should at all times endeavor to ensure timely release of funds to participating entities to enable them to implement planned projects. We also look at review of implementation of grants activities. Under this, Right Honourable Speaker, the committee observed that the failure of entities to test materials affects the quality of the works being implemented and may lead to loss of government funds. Recommendation: the accounting officers should always adhere to the grants guidelines or seek authorization for any deviation. We also look at inspection of service delivery, indicators of transitional road rehabilitation and grant, where we observed that due to shoddy works done, roads were already being affected by the water runoffs thus depriving beneficiaries value for money. 2. Inadequate funding of road projects leads to delayed execution of the planned activities. Recommendation. Committee recommends that the accounting officers should ensure that the identified shortcomings are addressed. 2. Government, through the Ministry of Finance and the relevant authorities, should consider increasing funds for the transitional road rehabilitation grant. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at implementation of Uganda Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfers, that is UGIFT program, funding and absorption. The committee observed that delayed implementation of the project greatly Thank you. Right, Honourable Speaker, committee observed that delayed implementation of the project greatly compromised service delivery in the affected districts. The under-absorption of the project's funds led to failure in the implementation of the projects, and this was a result of the hybrid procurement process. 3. As a result of the delayed release of the project funds, the entities did not meet their set targets under the key procurement indicators. Recommendation. Committee recommends that Ministry of Finance should ensure that funds are timely released as budgeted. 2. The two-line ministries of Education and Health should stop the hybrid method of procurement and allow the local governments, through their procurement department, to procure contractors with capacity to undertake the projects under the program. 3. The number of projects per contractor must be limited so as to enhance their performance. 4. The accounting officers should ensure close supervision and monitoring of the UGIFT project by the technical staff with timely reporting on the progress. Honourable Speaker, we also look at UGIFT infrastructure project implemented on untitled land. The committee observed that it was extremely risky for the entities to start a government project on land whose ownership status had not been ascertained. This could lead to financial loss on the part of the local government. Recommendation. The committee recommends that accounting officers should ensure that the land ownership matter is expeditiously resolved in order to safeguard taxpayers' money and ensure value for money. 2. Register the agreements to make them legal and binding. 3. Continue engaging Ministry of Education and Sports and Ministry of Health to ensure that faith-based and traditional institutions allow the processing of the land titles. 4. Adequate plan for titling of land and engage means of finance for release of funds. We also look at inspection of UGIFT activities. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at implementation of Uganda Road Fund. Under Uganda Road Fund, we look at the funding. Thank you. Right, Honourable Speaker, under Road Fund, we look at the funding. The committee observed that the underfunding and budget cuts from the Uganda Road Fund affects routine and periodic maintenance of public roads. Recommendation. The committee recommends that Uganda Road Fund should ensure that the local government's road maintenance work plans are adequately funded. We also look at status of implementation of road activities. Under this, right, Honourable Speaker, the committee observed that the underfunding and budget cuts from the Uganda Road Fund affects routine and periodic road maintenance. Committee recommends that Uganda Road Fund should ensure that the local government road maintenance work plans are adequately funded. That was repeated. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at Uganda's support to municipal infrastructure development, additional funding, that is use missed. Under use missed, the committee observed that non-adherence to the planning and budgeting guidelines affects the proper implementation of the local government work plans and budget. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Land, Housing and Urban Development should provide IPFs with specific and quantified activities to be captured in the local government budget and work plans. In addition, the ministry should ensure timely approval of project designs. We look at funding absorptions. Under that, where a committee observed that budget shortfalls and failure to absorb funds affected service delivery. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Land, Housing and Urban Development should ensure timely approval of designs so as forestall late commencement of the procurement processes. Right, Honourable Speaker, committee also look at implementation of program activities, inspection for service delivery project implemented 2022-2023. With that, members can read. We also look at the utilizations of wage budget. There also members can read. It is on the system. The committee, right, Honourable Speaker, the committee also look at budgeting. Members can also read. Right, Honourable Speaker, the review of the implementation of grants activities. Members can also read. We move to implementation of the Paris Development Model, that is PDM. Under PDM, in the financial year 2022-2023, Parliament appropriated 1.142 trillion for the PDM program, of which 1,059 trillion was for the Paris revolving fund to finance 10,594 PDM SACCOs in 176 local government. Each SACCO was supposed to receive 100 million in the financial year to develop and implement viable community-led income-generating enterprises. In addition, a sum of 82.65 billion was released to specific entities. The Auditor General, in his report, noted the following positives regarding the PDM. A, most of SACCOs receive funds as budgeted by Ministry of Finance. B, only SACCOs that met the minimum requirements for operations were funded. C, most of the SACCOs were registered under Cooperative Society Act to ensure the legality of the organization. D, most of the SACCOs are the PDM member register or updated PDM memberships. This ensures that no PRF loans were extended to ineligible beneficiaries. None of the beneficiaries received PRF funds multiple times. F, for most of the PDM SACCO, the SACCO bank account numbers provided were captured in the signed PRF financing agreement as guided by budget execution circular for the financial year 2022-2023. Right, Honourable Speaker, under PDM, those are the observations from our auditor. And we also look at failure to alignment of the district budget to the PDM. Under this, right, Honourable Speaker, the committee observed that failure to incorporate priorities from the sub-counties may hinder the achievement of the PDM objective of improving the incomes and welfare of all Ugandans at the household level, and contravenes paragraph 1.7 of the Users Handbook for the Paris Development Fund under PDM Pillar 3, Financial Inclusive. Members can read that. The committee was optimistic that with the requirements that all lower local government should annually submit unfunded priorities for incorporations into the entity's budget in place, the entities would have a better understanding of the priority areas. Committee recommendations. Committee recommends that accounting officers should ensure that priorities from sub-counties and town councils are identified and incorporated in their budget and work plans to enable alignment of PDM activities for proper implementations. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at delayed release of funds on PDM SACCO. Under this, the committee observed that the delayed disbursement of funds to SACCO beneficiaries affects the intended timely transformations of the subsistence households into the money economy. Recommendation. The committee recommends that accounting officers should liaise with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that funds are released to SACCOs in a timely manner as planned. We also look at disbursement of Paris revolving fund. Under this, the committee observed that the low rate of disbursement of Paris revolving funds undermine the achievement of the pillar's objective of eradicating poverty. Furthermore, there is a likely loss of funds due to the unaccounted for funds. Committee recommends that accounting officers to liaise with relevant authorities to address the system network challenges to ensure timely disbursement of funds. Right, Honourable Speaker, the committee also recommends that accounting officers should ensure strict adherence to the paragraph of the Users Handbook for the Paris Revolving Fund under PDM Pillar 3, Financial Inclusion October 2022, which stipulates that the money for each parish under the PRF should be disbursed directly from the consolidated fund that is at the Bank of Uganda to the PDM SACCO Bank account solely for on-lending to subsistence households in the parish who are members of the registered PDM enterprise group in that parish. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at review of the PDM governance structure. Members can read that. Right, Honourable Speaker, the committee also look at training of household and enterprise groups. That is still under PDM. Members can also read that. Right, Honourable Speaker, we also look at wealth ranking of the household. Under this, the committee observed that failure to identify subsistence households using wealth ranking tool and select and implement prioritized projects may undermine the achievement of pillars' objectives. Recommendations. The committee recommends that accounting officers should ensure that wealth ranking is done to ensure that the targeted beneficiaries benefit from PDM to improve their livelihood. Right, Honourable Speaker, as I stated earlier, the report is quite lengthy. This is the executive summary I have presented. At this time, I would like to thank the Committee of PAC Local Government and my clerk and all the participants for this very hectic and tiresome work. Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairman, and thank you for the report. Yes, Dr. Chut.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the committee for that very elaborate and comprehensive report. Looking at the report, you notice a number of recommendations. And Right Honourable Speaker, I want to draw the attention to the Treasury Memorandum for the previous financial year. When you look at the actions that were presented, most of the actions do not cover all the recommendations. You find 10 recommendations and only 3 actions. And I see that some of the recommendations are now re-emerging again. So I really want to propose that this time the Treasury Memorandum should respond to each of the recommendations. There must be an action item for every recommendation that has been mentioned in this report so that we do not have recurring issues on it. Secondly, on the issue of recruitment, and I will want the Minister of Finance to clarify, we've noted that in this financial year, wage that was for primary education recruitment has been reallocated to tertiary education. If you look at College District, for example, there were supposed to be 57 primary school teachers who retired who were supposed to be replaced. But that wage has been transferred to tertiary education. And the reason that was given is to address the concerns on increase of wage for the science teachers. We are trying to solve a problem of wage up, but we are denying wage at the lower end itself. Thank you.
Honorable Lee.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I thank the Chair.
Is Atima Lee.
Thank you very much for that information. My name is Atima Jackson Lee Buti. I represent the people of Arua Central Division. Thank you very much, Chair, for the good report. Right Honourable Speaker, my concern on this report is about money returned to the Treasury. Arua City was mentioned to have being returned over 17.6 billion. It's a very big concern. We have service delivery gaps in the city. Very many things are undone, yet we return 17.6 billion. And this is attributed to late releases by Minister of Finance. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I would really want to implore Minister of Finance to take note that monies should be released to these local governments on time so that these monies don't get returned to the Treasury. Thank you very much.
Yes. Honourable Polot.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. I appreciate the Chair for the report. Madam Speaker, the observations made in this report are not far from what we had last time. And I want to agree with the Honourable Achuti that the Treasury Memorandum should be able to update us so that we don't keep repeating. However, I want to look at the aspect of Minister of Finance releasing money beyond.
Honourable Minister, we need to have a Treasury Memorandum for the last financial year so that we see what is being repeated. Because you'll find every year things are being repeated.
Thank you, Right Honourable. I want to observe the aspect of Minister of Finance releasing money over and above what is requested. Let them explain to us what causes this. Madam Speaker, it is a common practice. You find that districts are not able to finish the money because it was not in their work plans. And this is what is making a lot of money to be sent back to the consolidated fund. And yet we need this money for use. Madam Speaker, we also want to have an update on the enrollment of the local governments into the IRAS system. Because the observation is that the IRAS is helping government generate more local revenue. And this is what comes to our treasury. And last time the recommendation was that we would have these local governments enrolled in a phased manner. What is the update as per now? How many local governments have been enrolled? And what is the improvement in terms of the local revenue performance? So that we are able to discuss further in the next engagement. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Okay. Okay, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for the report, but also to note that I have raised this before, and I want to request, Right Honourable Speaker, that let this be clear. If you are indicting an accounting officer, or even wanting to hold an accounting officer accountable, please mention the name, so that those who read in future, or read these reports, can actually know who it is that you're actually referring to. Because in your executive summary, you have lumped up...
That's what we agreed in the
Yes.
last, that accounting officer ABCD erred in this and should be held accountable.
Yeah, because you find that, for example, those who paid employees that had not been verified, I think you mentioned over 400 of them, but you say the accounting officers should be held accountable. Which ones? So, for clarity, let's have...
And if you don't clarify,
Yeah.
you'll find we'll be taking those accounting officers from one station to the other. So you'll be taking advice
Yeah.
from one
Yeah.
district to the
Yes.
other.
Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker, it's very unfortunate that we see this happening. I thought it was only in central government where we discovered that the Ministry of Finance releases funds over and above what the entities have actually budgeted. And you wonder what the motive is here, Right Honourable Speaker. Certain entities don't have funds. We don't have money under, for example, the road fund, Right Honourable Speaker. And I hope you can allow me raise this tomorrow, because I don't see the Minister of Finance here. He's around. We have a big challenge, Right Honourable Speaker. For example, for last quarter and this quarter, 20 million shillings is what has been released to districts under the road fund. What can a district do with 20 million? When I raised the motion on the inadequate releases by the government to the Uganda Road Fund, Right Honourable Speaker, we debated this motion. With your guidance, government was able to increase the release to the districts by 1 billion. And we thought the 1 billion would be an additional. Now what they have done is to remove what they were actually giving the districts, and they have left the districts empty now with only the 1 billion.
And the 1 billion is going to the district?
Yes, it is 1 billion, but previously, for example, Tororo district.
Sarah, what
Yes.
I'm asking, is the 1 billion still going to the districts?
Yes.
And if it is still going to the districts and they are not funding in the road fund, that's why they are rationing it.
But Right Honourable Speaker, we shall get into a problem. We have not solved the problem. I hope I can substantively raise this tomorrow. But Right Honourable Speaker, the other issue, I remember I raised this matter, the Minister of Public Service. When we visited the districts, several districts, we found a cry by the districts. They had wage, but there was a ban on recruitment. And then the minister, and that was the other financial year, the minister actually said that they were actually going to lift the ban.
Thank you.
Now this financial year, we are seeing that the ban is still on. So, Right Honourable Speaker, it's unfortunate. We are starving entities of funds, and yet at the same time releasing funds that districts cannot utilize.
Thank you.
So, I hope
Yes,
this can be
Nakasongola.
corrected. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Nakasongola.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the chairperson of the committee. Right Honourable Speaker, I was a member of this committee for quite a number of years, and I know what they go through to produce those reports. But there's something which has been persistent. Madam Speaker, the issue of late release of funds, I want to speak on it in two aspects. One is about the locally collected revenue by local governments. Madam Speaker, this money is collected by poor local governments, and this is the money which they would have expected to be utilizing or spending at source. Madam Speaker, Minister of Finance subjected the local governments to remit this money to Minister of Finance. And this Parliament sat here and passed a resolution, Madam Speaker, that this money should be left with local governments for their utilization. Up to today, Minister of Finance refuted it, never responded to it, and they defied it. The good thing, my friend Honorable Gorobi, the Minister of Finance, is here. We want him to tell us why this money doesn't remain with local government to be utilized. Secondly, on the same issue, Madam Speaker, the late release of funds, I am the chairperson of the District Roads Committee of Nakasonga District Government. We have a work plan we implement per financial year. If you release money 1 month to the end of the financial year, and I'm supposed to work on 4 roads, how do you expect me to implement and work on those roads within 1 month or within 20 days, and I have 1 machine? How do you expect me to operate? At the end of the day, the money is reverted back or taken back to the National Treasury, then you have issues. Lastly, Madam Speaker, is about PDM. PDM, means of finance, released to some parishes 70 millions, others 20. I have an example in my constituency. There's a parish called the Kamira Mpango, which has missed 75 millions. Up to today, that money has never been received, and people think that members of parliament, when you come here, we don't talk about it. But my sister, when I was away, the woman member of parliament, presented it, but up to today, that money has never been received by that parish. The good thing, the Minister of Local Government is here, the Minister of Finance is here. I thank you.
Thank you very much, the Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And at the same time, I want to thank the chairperson for giving us a very elaborate report. The Right Honorable Speaker, I want to bring our attention to UGIFT or UGIFT projects in this country. I come from a district whereby NEBI is one of the beneficiaries of these UGIFT projects. But one of the things which I believe is affecting every part of this country under that project is the hybrid nature of awarding contracts to the contractors. The Right Honorable Speaker, I want to say that we have 2 of such projects in my district. The contractor would have finished last year, but the manner in which the contractor is moving with those 2 projects is really very, very, very discouraging. And even to make matters worse, the district officials which would do their supervisory exercise, they are normally underrated by these contractors, and the reason being that the people who gave them the contracts are within Kampala here. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to say that, first of all, we are aware that there is high increase in the number of learners in secondary schools, and we have very few infrastructures. And therefore, we keep praying to the government that the contractors whom they give these contracts should have financial muscles, so that by the time Ministry of Finance is not releasing for them enough funds, at least they have something to do the work to help our people. Right now, as I talk, the 2 secondary schools under UGIFT have stalled. Apparently, you see no work being done. I sit on the Committee of Education. We went there. Right Honorable Speaker, what you see there, you read just the book of lamentation. Let us open our eyes to ensure we benefit from this government money. Thank you very much.
Honorable Naomi. Honorable Naomi. Honorable Naomi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, there are members who think they own land titles of this house, who think other people should not speak, who think they are the ones who know about order, about procedure, about what. This house belongs to everybody, and I am not going to allow that nonsense. No, let members debate on merit. Sit.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
No worries. We have security here. You now may you speak. You are even disorganizing a report from opposition. Which kind of opposition are you? No. You speak.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thought he's an old member of this house, that he knows the rules, that when the speaker is speaking, you at least sit down. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the committee for the good report. Long but
Nobody
good.
will kill the speaker, and if I am killed, I'm guarded by the blood of Jesus Christ. You speak. And when with my brother, he cannot do anything to me. Mama, you go
You are
ahead.
protected, Madam Speaker. Don't get scared by these men.
I'm scared Flavia might learn bad manners when she's still a young girl. You see that youth behind you. He still has 30 years in this house. You go ahead.
Thank you so much. I hope the answer will capture well. Madam Speaker, there are many things that have been raised. But to me, I think the Right Honorable Raphael Magezi, whom I believe has got a very long experience in local government, because he worked as a councillor together and then now he's a minister. There has been some tendencies of centralizing decentralization. Many things, why you hear of hybrid procurement and whatever, things are done at the center instead of being done at the
Especially procurement.
Yes, at the local government.
You find procurement is done at headquarters, and then they just send contractors to the district.
If you feel like that our local people cannot manage, empower them. You can empower them by maybe training, and also, but giving these projects and you follow them up. For us, we have a feeling that there must be something that is done there behind that we don't understand. Because some shoulder work has been done in that kind of work. They give, the procurement is done here and is implemented there, and they tell those local people that don't monitor. It is us to come from Kampala to go and supervise.
Yes.
And things are going bad. The roads are bad, and even other projects. Another example is this one from Minister of Maif. In my constituency, they got that money. It was a lot of money, Madam Speaker. But if you see the kind of work, it is one of the bridges which I raised here, is one of that. A lot of money, 1.something billion, plus those other choked roads. But if you see the kind of work that was done, if it was given properly by the local government, I think it would have worked better. So, Honorable Minister, I implore you that you look around and see how you can implement the decentralization that is interested in the Constitution than the decentralization. Then the 25%, Madam Speaker, give me a chance. 25% of this Maif project, still on the procurement. Those people who have even received it, they are saying that I would rather use my money to buy instead of giving the 25%. What they procure for them, these pumps are terrible. They are poor quality. They cannot even, those projects, that's why people cry that the government has not done anything, and yet it is putting in a lot of money, but because of the way it is done, it is implemented, it ends up to be a useless project. It's a good project that you should revise it. Can you use these recommendations so that we get something out of the project that government is putting in? I thank you.
Thank
Madam
you.
Speaker.
Joan, DP, Flavia, Alan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee for the report. I would like to address myself to two issues. One, the issue of unabsorbed funds, and the issue of local revenue. On the issue of unabsorbed funds, the committee observed that one of the reasons why the funds were returned was the issue of the ban on recruitment. And one of the recommendations the committee gives is to engage the relevant ministries. Now, in the issue of Madiokolo, which has the lowest, should I say the largest staffing gaps, we've engaged public service, we've engaged Ministry of Finance, and a few districts special districts, I don't know what criteria they used, were allowed to continue. But the district with the largest staffing gaps is still on a ban. What criteria is being used? And Madiokolo, most of these gaps are in the education sector. And this has affected the performance of education in primary. Many colleagues say, oh, Madiokolo is the last in education. I am not ashamed. How do you tie someone's legs in a race and you beat them and you clap your hands? With the large staffing gaps, there is no way we are going to improve in our education status in Madiokolo and in Uganda for that matter. The second issue I'd like to bring to discuss is the issue of local revenue. Most of the new districts which were formed were left with a small revenue collection base.
Madiokolo, you're done?
I'm not done. Let me allow myself to address the issue of local revenue. The new districts which have been created, they don't have a large revenue pool where to collect revenue. Most of the revenue was left in the bigger districts. In the mother district.
Yes.
So we struggle, we
and
fight.
And then even the administrative units.
Exactly. We struggle and fight to see that some of the industrial parks, some of the investors can come to these rural places so that our districts can also create some revenue. Madiokolo's on the list for industrial park. But we still don't know. When the minister came here, there was nothing clear to say these are the districts that are getting industrial parks. And these are some of the areas where we can collect local revenue. So,
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jen. DP, the behind one. Then you.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I thank the chairperson for the good report. Right Honourable Speaker, I have two comments. One is on the small-scale irrigation, where there is need for co-funding. The beneficiaries bring 25% and then government brings in 75%. But there are two types. One where government co-fund 25%, and the beneficiary co-funds 75%. How does this come about? If you choose the option of solar, then you co-fund 25%, government brings in 75%. But where you choose the option of generator, where you use fuel, government brings 25% and you bring 75%. Now, many times, that money has been returned back to the center. Why? Because of few beneficiaries expressing interest in entering into this project, because they find it very expensive. The committee has come up with a recommendation that if the 25% can be reduced to 5%, that is one option. But I've also talked to the would-be beneficiaries of this project. They are also proposing, if it can be that co-funding aspect of it on their side is converted into loan. They take it, but it is given it as a loan, and then they go and utilize it and then pay the loan afterwards. That would be another option. Right Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Okello.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I have also two issues to raise, and I want to thank the chairperson and the committee for the elaborate report. In the report, on page 9, the chairperson gave reasons why there is a lot of funds that is coming back. One of them, he said, was in regard to teachers, that secondary school teachers that were recruited are not deployed. Right Honourable Speaker, this is a paradox, because the local government cannot recruit the secondary school teachers. It is the central government that recruits. It is the central government that sends the money to local government to pay. Then it is the central government that does not deploy. the teachers. Right Honorable Speaker, I know of a young man who is a teacher and has been recruited in this lot. The man struggled with his school fees. He was an orphan. After struggling a lot, he completes his studies and gets recruited. Now, for a long time, he's not deployed. The money for his salaries goes to a district and returns back. If it pleases you, could you allow the Ministry of Education and that of local government to synchronize this? This doesn't sound well at all. Issue number 2 is also related, Madam Speaker. Nearly every year or after every 2 years, there is validation of teachers, of other workers of local government, and the results are very similar. Hundreds of ghost teachers, ghost workers. And in this case, the chairperson actually enumerated 777 ghost workers of local government, which accounted for nearly 4 billion that was paid to ghost workers. Now we have a number of workers of local government who...
Flavia.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, and I want to appreciate Park Local Government for the wonderful report given to us. Madam Speaker, I have 2 issues. The very first one is on the issue of royalties, under collection of revenues, and then us failing to get royalties where they are due. For example, Kasanda District is a gold mining area. But even the place, Lubali, Lugongwe, where gold, the highest percentage of gold comes from, is not developed, fully developed, because we do not get the royalties. Kasanda District by now should have tarmac in it, but we are eating dust day in, day out. Our roads are deplorable. Even the washrooms are terrible. We don't even have clean places where people can
they eat dust these days?
It's a metaphor. It's a figurative language, but we are basically, the dust is killing us because we have no single tarmac road. And I have brought this to the Prime Minister. UNRWA promised us a road, a tarmac road up to now. Years and years past. We have never got this. And yet gold every day is leaving Lugongwe, is leaving Lubali, it's going everywhere except in Kasanda. Shame. Right Honorable Speaker, the second point that I have is about education and the issue of inspection for service delivery. We have a school in Manyogaseka sub-county, St. Mary Goretti Seed Secondary School, which was constructed, and it was supposed to have been commissioned in 2021, but up to now it has never been commissioned. Why? It has cracks in the walls and on the floors. And when we went there to inspect it, the contractors were saying that they cannot...
The contractors were from where?
Sorry?
The contractors were from where?
Kampala. The contractors were coming.
And the supervisors were from where?
They were also coming from Kampala, but let me give information to the MP of Kasanda South to ambulate on this issue very well.
Youth.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Flavia, for letting information and accepting it. Honorable Speaker and members, the school she's talking about, Manyogaseka, St. Mary Goretti Manyogaseka Seed Secondary School, was supposed to be commissioned in 2021. But first, the school was constructed on a road reserve. So in the report, the chair has brought up that some of government projects are put on land where government has no titles. And
but how could they construct without having a title given to the ministry?
Yes, those are the things that we are questioning ourselves, because on this side forest reserve, we do have a health center 3. But the people who have been occupying this land...
Not a forest reserve, a road reserve.
A forest reserve.
Forest.
We have a forest reserve. They have put a hospital and also a secondary school. But the people, the locals that have been occupying this land, have been denied access on processing individual land titles to own the land, because they have been occupying it since way back. But some time back, they received some investors who had come with contracts from NFA and Ministry of Land that they have been these to do agriculture, to plant rice and other agri products on that land.
The late NFA.
Yes, the late. the titles were cancelled, and right now people are trying to forge a way out to see that there is a sure land titles, but they have been blocked. The local government is claiming it is a forest reserve, but on it we see a secondary school that has consumed over 3.9 billion
A
up to now.
government secondary school.
Yes, over 3.9 billion has been spent on it,
Honorable
and it has
Minister.
not been commissioned up to now.
Honorable Minister, you need to take an interest on these projects, especially where the procurement is centralized here, and then these people are sent down there. And I thought we were promoting Bobo. We could actually use the people in that area that can be best managed by the locals, the local administration there. And then it is also risky for us to construct in areas where we don't have a land title. Because at the end of the day, if the owner of the land comes and says this is a road reserve or this is a forest reserve, so there is a problem. So we have started grabbing land. We've started grabbing land as government. And then the other thing is on the issue of late releases. The issue of the late releases and late procurement, and then late recruitment. And you come for a loan for supplementary here in May. And yet the financial year is ending in June. So you find it is really inevitable that money will be brought back.
Madam Speaker, let me conclude. I had given him information. In conclusion, I think it's very important that we have the accounting officers learn how to monitor and inspect our projects, but also we need to have more credible means of following the money that we put in these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I join colleagues in appreciating the Chairperson, Local Government PAC, for a good report. In his submission, Chair, Right Honourable Speaker, in his submission, he indicated that 446 billion shillings is returned to central government for non-utilization. Speaker, that is very, very regrettable. And when he read the list of districts that return that money, all those districts are ranking high on the poverty index. Very regrettable. The districts in the West Nile, and we all know that West Nilers have been highlighted as one of the areas that is poverty struck. Now, many of the districts in the West Nile are those districts that have returned money for non-utilization. It's very, very unfortunate that people who are more deserving, they have actually been denied, deprived of the services. For the weaknesses on our part, because a lot of the money goes late. I would rather, Right Honourable Speaker, that we plan that if in the first month of the last quarter, we cannot send money to the districts. Actually, the trend of the expenditure now should be educative enough to the ministry to know how much money they can raise in 9 months. Because money collected in the 11th month and the 12th month cannot be utilized. You know the procurement process that we undertake. That procurement process cannot facilitate districts to advertise and do everything and go through the process. We would rather say that monies that are sent to local governments end up to monies that are collected in the 9 months so that people can plan appropriately. Otherwise, for the people of West Nile to be denied services because finance sends money late is very, very regrettable. These are people who are poorest and they deserve services. Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker, on the matter of local government ministry of giving and taking away, for example, the people decided that more government units be created.
And the Electoral Commission also created the units. But adamantly, Ministry of Local Government has refused to honor they are created. You'll find parishes of 15 villages. In my constituency, I have a parish of 10 villages. People have been denied of services. And now they are saying, we passed a resolution, but the members of parliament are not following up the matter. Yet we have followed up the matter with the minister. And I'm adamantly saying, no, I'm not ready to give parishes. And yet, you know, it has become a spending unit. A parish is a spending unit where PDM is allocated to parishes. So why do we lie to people that we have given when we actually have not given? You even give councillors to parishes that are not existing, that do not give money. Are we serious to our people, or are we just being deceitful? So I pray the Honourable Minister. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, first answer that.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable colleagues, there is a ban on creation of new administrative units by Cabinet, and it cuts across. As we speak now, Honourable Member of Parliament Utambala, who asked the question, it's not possible for me to advance any proposal on creation of a new district or a new municipality or a new sub-county or any parish or village. This Monday, Cabinet allowed me to present a Cabinet paper in 2 weeks on this matter. We have this matter of creation of new units, but also we have the matter of operationalization of the cities.
You want to create new units?
No, it is requesting government to pronounce itself as we head to the next elections. As she said, Electoral Commission.
Why don't you first operationalize the existing ones before you go on to creating more? Be it political, but first operationalize the ones we have.
Right, Honourable Speaker, the minister is demonizing my point. I didn't call for creation of new units. I'm saying government actually created the new parishes, upon which councillors were elected, okay? And when it came to now sending money for PDM, the minister, local government said, I don't know about them. How can you say don't know about them when the Electoral Commission created them and the representatives were elected? Is government working in this unity or working together? So don't demonize the point I raised.
Okay.
This is even more clear. The law does not permit the Electoral Commission to create administrative units. The mandate of the Electoral Commission is to organize elections. Creation of administrative units is the mandate of, in the case of lower local governments, Minister of Local Government. In the case of higher local governments, the mandate is Parliament. So there is a situation which has happened in the country that previously, districts would approve the proposal of the sub-counties for creation of the parishes, and that would be final. The law was amended to require that the resolution of the district is brought to the minister for creation and gazettement. So for me, under the PDM, we are actually following local government units which are gazetted, not those which have been created somewhere where I don't know. I think.
Rita.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity. First is to thank the committee for the good work they have done. And I have a few issues. One, through you, Right Honourable Speaker, I think the minister has taken so long to come to the cry of cities. It would be imagined that when a giraffe stands in the midst of a national park, at least when your passers by, you can be able to pick it and see it. But the cities were created, but they have absolutely lacked attention. The committee was alluding to the fact that the issue of the wage bill, Right Honourable, in the city, it is more alarming. Mbarara City right now stands at about 20% of the health workers to be able to serve the Ugandans that live in that part of Uganda. And it is very heartbreaking that nurses, doctors cannot even take leave because they have no one to leave behind. So through you, Right Honorable, I think it is time. 4 years down the road, the minister has promised but not delivered. So through you, I wish you would compel him to bring the actualization of the cities as fast as possible. The other issue has to do with road fund and how the divisions within the cities are treated. They do not receive anything. And now there's a situation where the city is fighting for both the road fund and the local revenue earned from property tax. And the ministry knows about it. My good friend Honorable Majezi knows about this, but he has failed to come in to help them. Yes, and the local government, this very committee has been in Mbarara City to mediate on this issue. They have directed so that the centre is able to share its resources with the divisions, but it has not gone with attention. There is a controversial issue. Information?
Information from Basalero.
Okay, I allow information. Thank you. There is no one to give him.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to give further information to my sister. The 10 cities were operationalized July 20.
Were created
July 2020. I want to communicate to Parliament that up to now, the cities do not have the road units. And when you hear the minister say here he wants to present another paper in the cabinet to ask for more units, yet we have failed even to run the few districts that we have, the few cities that we have. It's a very big problem. Madam Speaker.
But I wish we were united in this House to agree that we don't want administrative units before the existing ones are operationalized. But you find people want to cut a sub-county to be a constituency.
Madam Speaker, maybe we'll also request the minister to clarify here. We got it and we read it from the Minister of Finance that more 10 cities are coming.
From where?
Including Moroto and the rest, the Minister of Finance. Now the Minister of Local Government is here. Would want clarification on this matter. Why would you want to bring in more cities and more administrative units and you have failed to run the existing ones? It is a very big problem. That's information, Madam.
Thank you very much, my brother. Right Honourable Speaker, there is an issue that the committee recommended on to do with material testing for approved road works. I think there I was not satisfied. They did not dig deeper. This issue is exploited with contractors being able to obtain maram from communities, and yet they cannot, in Mbarara City, for instance, there are community members who are willing to give free maram. But because this is a strong requirement, when you take the samples for testing, they refuse to approve them. So that you go through a contractor to be able to procure. So they deny a community to be able to contribute for their own good and well-being of the roads, which I...
Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable, just as one
clarification.
Right Honourable. Please, Right Honourable, just 1 second.
There is a motion from Moma.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm moving under Rule 71 that having exhaustively and extensively debated the committee report and having built consensus and agreement, I want to move that a question be put for adoption of the committee report.
Seconded by the whole House. Those in favor say, and the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, I now put a question at the report of Public Accounts Committee, Local Government, on the report of Auditor General on the financial year 2022-2023 on 37 districts, local governments, 3 cities, 6 divisions, and 10 municipalities be adopted by this Honorable House with amendments. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it, and subject to Section 53 of the Public Finance Management Act, we expect a treasury memoranda. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I had an opportunity yesterday to interact with the Committee on Physical Infrastructure relating to the bill before the committee on the Uganda National Roads Authority Repeal Bill 2024. And in that interaction, we agreed that we amend the certificate of financial implications. And they asked me that following that amendment, that I lay the certificate on table. So I beg to lay on table the said certificate. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, we have had controversial certificates of financial information.
Members, I adjourn the House to 10 tomorrow.
Okay.
Wakurugenzi mamen mkurugenzi Diastories najua uwaga naanza na kabore kamoja, lakini leo wacheni ni wahurumie. Today we will just get right into it. Now Before we board our aircraft tuende hiyo country ingine, sababu stories may happen in another country. Let me just give you a little backstory of our main character. Now, our main character mazeni boy moja, yani the model student. Ushaona wale watu wazazi wote wanaombaga wapate, wale watoto wazazi wote wanaombaga wapate. Yani material ni mtu, yani discipline, watagwan, kila kitu yake ni straight as an arrow. It is not a surprise, doesn't come as a surprise to anyone when he is called to one of the best high schools in the country. Najua mutaijua tu, ni high school iko na jina the same na sister school, na wako mbali, wako tu hapo. Yeah, you know it, it's a famous school. So ameingia pale, the guy does really well, really well. Anakuja anaingia mambo ya YCS, watu wa Katoliki mnanipata hapo. YCS